fragile, exposed acoustic guitar playing in sort of style of a poor man's bourrée by.
Picture this. The rock and roll world is abuzz as legendary Led Zeppelin guitarist Jimmy Page steps into the limelight, casting shadows over fellow icons, The Who. In a candid revelation, Page exposes the tumultuous relationship between the two rock behemoths, unearthing a history fraught with rivalry, personal demons, and internal strife. The late 1960s and early 1970s were a golden era for rock, with bands like Led Zeppelin and The Who reigning supreme, both carving out their own territories in the pantheon of music legends. On the surface, they appeared to be allies in the revolution of sound, pushing boundaries and redefining what rock could be. But behind the curtain of fame simmered a rivalry that few fans were privy to. A clash of egos, ambition, and artistic vision that would leave scars on both sides. Page's recent disclosures shed light on this competitive tension, suggesting that mutual respect was often overshadowed by envy and disparagement. The Who, with their raw, rebellious energy, saw themselves as the true pioneers of aggressive anthemic rock, while Zeppelin, led by Page's masterful arrangements and Robert Plant's wailing vocals, were intent on claiming the throne as the heaviest, most innovative band of their time. The tension between them wasn't just about music, it was about dominance. The Who's guitarist, Pete Townshend, was notorious for his sharp tongue, and his occasional digs at Zeppelin added fuel to an already smoldering fire. He saw Led Zeppelin as derivative, a band that built upon the sonic foundations that The Who had already laid down. On the other side, Jimmy Page, with his meticulous approach to music, viewed The Who's wild and often chaotic energy as lacking the precision and technical mastery that Zeppelin prided themselves on. Their rivalry extended beyond words. At festivals and industry events, tensions would rise, with both bands vying for the best time slots, the loudest performances, and the most electrifying sets. Their fans, too, were drawn into the conflict, debating endlessly over which band truly ruled the era. The war of words and the quiet battle for supremacy in rock's golden age became an undercurrent in the story of both groups, defining an era where every note played carried the weight of competition. Central to this discord were the outspoken comments of The Who's guitarist, Pete Townshend. Known for his candidness, Townshend occasionally belittled Led Zeppelin's musical approach, hinting that their heavy sound was derivative of The Who's innovations. Such assertions, implying that Led Zeppelin's style was merely an echo of The Who's pioneering efforts, undoubtedly fueled the flames of contention. The Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards also entered the fray, offering his own critique of Led Zeppelin, further deepening the rift between rock's greatest titans. In a 1998 interview, Richards dismissed the band's music, stating, "I never really took to Zeppelin." But this was no casual remark. Richards had long harbored a distaste for the band's bombastic style, which he saw as self-indulgent and lacking the raw authenticity of the blues-inspired rock he championed. This sentiment added another layer to the intricate web of rock rivalries, as Led Zeppelin, at the height of their dominance, was often perceived as overshadowing their contemporaries. Richards, ever the traditionalist, took issue with Zeppelin's sprawling epics, believing that their music lacked the tight, no-frills intensity that he felt defined true rock and roll.
This was the backbone of what the song was intended to be, and the whole of the running order from the beginning to...
But the animosity didn't end there. Behind the scenes, Richards and Jimmy Page had a complicated history. Both revered blues legends like Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf. But while Page pushed the blues into grand, otherworldly dimensions with Zeppelin, Richards kept the sound raw and grounded. This philosophical divide spilled over into subtle jabs and dismissive remarks over the years, with Richards mocking Page's virtuosity as excessive, and Page in turn viewing Richards' style as rudimentary by comparison. Their mutual disdain reflected a deeper rivalry between the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin, two behemoths competing for dominance, yet each representing vastly different visions of what rock music should be. While the Stones thrived on swagger, rebellion, and a devil-may-care attitude, Zeppelin exuded mysticism, power, and sonic grandeur. It was a battle not just of egos, but of artistic philosophies, played out through the words and actions of two of rock's greatest icons. Beyond external conflicts, The Who grappled with their own internal challenges, which often pushed the band to the brink of self-destruction. The excesses of fame, the relentless pressure to stay relevant, and the demons that haunted its members created an environment where chaos reigned just as fiercely offstage as it did on. Drummer Keith Moon was the ultimate rock and roll wild child, an unstoppable force of talent and destruction. His substance abuse spiraled out of control, making him as unpredictable as he was brilliant. One moment he was mesmerizing audiences with his explosive drumming, the next, he was destroying hotel rooms, collapsing on stage, or disappearing for days on reckless benders. His behavior strained the patience of his bandmates, who often had to pick up the pieces after yet another moon-induced catastrophe. The night he drove a car into a swimming pool, or when he accidentally ran over his own chauffeur during a drunken escapade, were not just tabloid fodder, they were cries for help that went unanswered. By the late 1917s, his self-destructive tendencies finally caught up with him, ending in a tragic overdose that left the band reeling. The bassist John Entwistle, though less outwardly chaotic, fought his own battles. Unlike Moon's overtly reckless lifestyle, Entwistle's struggles played out in the shadows. He lived lavishly, spending far beyond his means, amassing debt that eventually crushed him. His love for excess, extravagant mansions, a vast collection of instruments, and a penchant for gambling left him financially crippled. When he died in 2002 from a cocaine-induced heart attack, it was a stark reminder that even those who appeared composed on the surface could be drowning underneath. Frontman Roger Daltrey and Pete Townshend had an infamously volatile relationship. While they respected each other's talent, they often clashed over creative direction, egos flaring in ways that turned the studio into a battleground. Daltrey, the fighter of the group, was never afraid to get physical, literally. He once knocked Townshend unconscious during a heated argument, a moment that underscored just how explosive their partnership could be. Townshend, burdened with the weight of being the band's chief songwriter, struggled with depression and addiction, battling his own inner turmoil even as he crafted anthems that defined a generation. These internal conflicts, coupled with the pressures of fame, painted a picture of a band constantly on the edge of implosion. For all their brilliance, The Who was not just a rock band, it was a storm, unpredictable and destructive, threatening to tear itself apart at any moment. And yet, despite it all, they endured, their music standing as a testament to both their genius and their pain. The Who's confrontational nature extended beyond their internal dynamics, spilling over into numerous clashes with fellow musicians, business partners, and even the law. Their reputation for destruction and disregard for authority became as legendary as their music, earning them both fear and admiration in equal measure. One of their most famous rivalries was with the Rolling Stones. At a time when rock was a battlefield for dominance, both bands found themselves vying for the same spotlight, with tensions erupting over performance slots and festival headlining disputes. The friction boiled over during the infamous Rock and Roll Circus event in 1968, where The Who reportedly outshone the Stones, leading to Mick Jagger shelving the footage for years. This bitter competition fueled resentment between the groups, with members throwing verbal jabs at each other for decades. Their notoriety wasn't confined to the stage. The Who's hotel-destroying antics became the stuff of legend, but behind the scenes, it led to real-world consequences. Keith Moon, infamous for his out-of-control partying, once caused such catastrophic damage at a Holiday Inn in Michigan, blowing up a toilet, throwing a car into a swimming pool, and setting off fireworks indoors, that the band was banned from all Holiday Inns nationwide. Hotels across the world blacklisted them, and legal troubles followed, forcing their management to pay out hefty fines and damages just to keep venues willing to host them. Beyond their rock star excesses, The Who also engaged in high-profile feuds with other musicians. Pete Townshend, never one to mince words, often took aim at bands he deemed inferior or unoriginal, leading to public spats with acts like The Kinks and even younger generations of rockers like the Sex Pistols. The latter feud was particularly heated, with Townshend dismissing punk as a pale imitation of The Who's early rebellion, while Johnny Rotten and Sid Vicious saw Townshend as an outdated relic of an era they sought to destroy. Their aggressive reputation also caused rifts within the industry. Record executives, fearful of their unpredictability, hesitated to back their projects fully, leading to disputes over contracts and album releases. Their management frequently found itself in court battles over unpaid debts, missed obligations, and lawsuits from former associates who claimed they had been mistreated or underpaid. Everywhere The Who went, chaos followed. Their brand of rock wasn't just about sound, it was about attitude, disruption, and defiance. But as much as it earned them their place as legends, it also left behind a trail of broken relationships, bitter enemies, and a reputation that often overshadowed their musical genius. Despite the myriad of conflicts, both internal and external, The Who's legacy as rock pioneers remains unblemished. If anything, their turbulence only adds to their legend. Their ability to channel personal and professional turmoil into groundbreaking music is a testament to their resilience and artistry. They were a band forged in conflict, yet their music transcended the chaos that threatened to tear them apart at every turn. The Who never played it safe, and that is exactly why they left an indelible mark on rock history. Their anthems were not just songs, they were war cries, born from struggle, excess, and the relentless pursuit of something greater than themselves. The very conflicts that could have shattered lesser bands instead fueled The Who's sonic revolution. From Townsend's tortured genius to Daltrey's firebrand spirit, from Moon's self-destruction to Entwistle's quiet implosion, each member brought a piece of the storm to the music they created. Every rift, every punch thrown, every bottle smashed in frustration bled into their work, making it raw, real, and unforgettable. Their influence continues to ripple through generations, inspiring countless musicians who see both the triumph and the tragedy of The Who as part of the price of true rock immortality. No matter how many fights, scandals, or self-inflicted wounds plague them, their music remains untouchable, a testament to their enduring greatness. Think of the rock world as a grand tapestry, with each thread representing the intertwined lives of its legends. Page's candidness pulls at these threads, revealing the intricate patterns of conflict and camaraderie that have defined an era. The Who's story is one of fire and fury, of brilliance and madness, an eternal clash between genius and self-destruction that, despite everything, still echoes through the halls of rock and roll history.